Super Dave here with another review. Super Dave here, ready to review our final Wave 2 Thundercats character and save the best for last because it's
Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living!
That's my best interpretation. Or impersonation, I should say. But here is the box. I want us to take a look at how huge this box is. Look at that. Wow. I mean, look at the difference. And you can see it from the side. What a big dude this is going to be. I mean, can't I really get it in the camera here? Just look at that. Look at that. I mean, that's the normal size villain box and the Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living box. So let's take a look at the character inside. Here he comes. Wow. Look at him there. You can see all of his accessories and what an intimidating guy he really is. Amazing. All right. So let's go ahead and look at that beautiful artwork on the back. Yes, that's amazing too. Looks good. Looks good. Great. And then there's the bio. If you'd like to pause and read that now, you can. All right, let's go ahead and break open Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living and see him inside the Black Pyramid itself right behind me.
Ancient spirits of evil, transform this decaying form into Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living!
And here we are in the Black Pyramid itself, getting ready to look at the Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living. And he is looking amazing. And we're first going to look at Mumm-Ra's accessories. And the first accessory of Mumm-Ra's we'll look at tonight is his 3 sets of hands. First of all, his tightly fisted, horizontally hinged hands. Also, his weapon-holding, horizontally hinged hands. And he comes equipped with these horizontally hinged, clawing, gesturing type hands. He also comes with one of those Thundercat relics there in the middle, as well as his Sword of Plunder. And the regular, normal, elderly, scrawny Mumm-Ra just came with the handle like that. But in this Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living, we get the full extended Sword of Plunder, as well as Ma-Mutt, his loyal companion that lives in the Black Pyramid with him, which is like an ancient Egypt place. He comes with a awesome head sculpt with open mouth, like a screaming, yelling, talking, intimidating head sculpt, transforming head sculpt, as well as a closed mouth head sculpt, looking awesome there as well. And he comes with this wired cape. Has a black on the back and red in the front, and it is wired around the edge and has some angles and some tattering around the bottom edge, and is wired all the way around the edge. Really nice, cool looking accessories. Now let's look at Mumm-Ra's Articulation. Bringing our Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living a little closer here just to look at this head sculpt. You can see that it is just very well done. I've not really seen any QC issues in my copy so far, my particular product here. You can see they did a good job with the teeth. I mean, even the wrinkles in the face and around the eyes look really good. Just excellent job all the way around. Those snakes, 2 snakes on top of his helmet. Those plastic, like torn cloth strips, the red, black, and the white, those are plastic. Very clean emblem in the middle there. Just not seeing any bad places on mine so far. It may have been just a hair, just a little bit of black there smudge on his back there from that strap, maybe when the paint had not quite dried all the way. But looking really good on mine so far. Really loving this Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living. Been looking forward to this guy and expecting him for a long time. Let's go ahead and get a closer look now at this articulation. And you can see that, again, just like with most of these figures, we do not get hardly any motion or movement. Nothing much up and down. You can go side to side, which it is restricted with all of this wrapped around his neck, but you can get side to side. There's not really any pivoting to speak of. I mean, virtually nothing there. Virtually nothing. And this is the closed mouth version of him. You can see they've got some strips of plastic, looks like strips of cloth, which are plastic, wrapped around his arm here, over his shoulder, around his back and waist area, looking really good all the way around. And you can see that his arm will go 360. He has bicep swivel as well as elbow swivel, single jointed elbows, very limited range there. He only gets about that far. He doesn't get quite 90 degrees with those arms coming out to a T. Not quite any further than that. He does have swivel and hinged hands on both sides, but no vertical hinges with this character. But he does look great. And look at his crunch. Looks well hidden with the muscles there. It just, I think they did a good job with that. He crunches forward, crunches back just a little bit. He does have that waist swivel as well. Moving on to his legs, he can get pretty much full splits there, even with the skirt. He is going to be able to get thigh rotation, single jointed knees, knee rotation there instead of a boot cut. He also has excellent feet articulation, gets full tiptoes, goes up quite a bit, as well as excellent rockers with our pinhole in the bottom. And so really good rocker joints there, as we said, very nice. And so he rounds out to get some fairly decent articulation, even for a big guy, with the exception of his head. Looking at his other head sculpt, as far as this head's articulation, it's not much different. He's going to be able to go side to side, but nothing for the most part up and down or any head pivoting. So basically the same as what we had with the other head. I do want to show you how to equip Mumm-Ra's cape. You have this really nice red bat-shaped cape. Mine is very well sewn together. Some have had QC issues with that. Then on the back, you see it's black and it's red on the inside. There is wire all along the top edges of this cape, which is really nice, just not in the bottom edge, but all through the top, which is really nice. There's 3 holes, one in the middle and 2 on the sides. So we're going to look at that first. You just pop off this head sculpt and be careful that you do not break off these snake pieces here. They will pop off if you're not careful. And so now we're going to turn around our Mumm-Ra and look at the back where there is this peg in the back of his back. And you're going to remove that peg just like that. And then the first thing you want to do, of course, keep this lined up at all times there. But you're going to you want the red on the inside, so you're going to take that first middle hole and line it up with that hole in his back. And then just plug that peg right back in there. Voila, there you have it. Once you have that plugged in there, you take the next hole and you see there's a small spike and a big spike, and you're going to put that right on there, and you can kind of wedgie that cloth up underneath that spike, and the spike will pop out, so you have to be careful of that as well. So I'm going to put that spike right back in there. So let's try hooking it on there again, and you can kind of wedge that in. All right, I think that one's going to hold, hopefully. And then you come over to this other side where you have another large spike and small spike. You're going to plug that next hole inside of or over top of the larger spike. You kind of adjust those elbows so it puts some tension on it, and then I think we may just have it this time. Awesome. Look at there, looks great. There you have the cape equipped, and then you pop that head right back on there, and now you have your Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living. Looking amazing, looking great. He's not going to be able to get flying poses, I can tell you that, because that head will not look up. You're going to have to be able to probably, yeah, it's not going to bend back very much. So you're not really going to be able to get flying poses with this guy, but you can fly up. You just won't be able to fly straight. Not look forward anyway, but he's looking great otherwise, and he's just really neat. Let's look at Ma-Mutt's articulation. Bringing Ma-Mutt in a little closer here, we're going to see that he's able to look side to side, just left to right with that head. That's the only motion he gets. His legs will go back and forth like that. And then his back legs also will go back and forth. This is plugged in, but you get no articulation really there with the tail. But that's it. That's all the articulation. But you do get this little Ma-Mutt, Mumm-Ra's little companion that lived in the Black Pyramid with him. And now let's do some comparisons. And the first comparison we'll do here is with our Mumm-Ra with another Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living. Now, I forget who made this one. He had very little articulation. I actually popped off his legs from the calf boot basically down because he was just too tall for me to take pictures with Lion-O and some of my Super 7 figures, and I have used him for that. He is just giant. He's got a cloth cape, non-wired. It goes on the same way. His wrist will swivel a little bit, his head a little bit, and then those boots would swivel, but that's it. I mean, there was very little articulation, but he did have real cloth mummified strips that had ripped there. Those are real, they're clothy there, actual cloth pieces that are wrapped around him here. But he is definitely cool and neat, but it's nice being able to have an articulated Mumm-Ra that fits more in scale with this group and actually have his legs and boots together to match. But you can just see a comparison there. This one's definitely cool, and at the times when, you know, Mumm-Ra would grow into a larger being, at times he would grow from normal size to bigger size. I can still use this guy, and then sometime Mumm-Ra would shrink down into a itty bitty thing in the cartoon, which was wild too, even bug size sometime, and have a high-pitched little voice. But anyway, that is so cool to compare these two. Awesome. And here's our Mumm-Ra next to the rest of the villains. I do have him on a stand. That did not come with him, but I just like elevating him there. You see Slythe and Jackalman and Munkin right there next to him. And for the point of the scaling purposes, I took him off the stand so you can see how much taller he is, these other figures, but scales great with these other villains. We have all of them now except for Vulture Man as far as the core group that was in the villain set. So really cool though, looking together, and just loving this Mumm-Ra. And I apologize, I did put the cape on backwards earlier. It's easier to see when the red's behind him, but instead of the black, you know, being face forward. But I went ahead and put it back the correct way, because the correct way is for the black to be actually facing forward and the red to be on his back. But there we go. Let's look at some other comparisons. And there he is in his feeble form, and then there he is in the transformed ever-living form. So you kind of see how they match up right there, side by side. I'll go ahead and move him in front so you can see him that way. He is much taller and much bigger, much stronger. I mean, he goes from scrawny arms to muscular arms and just gigantus there as he transforms from mummy form into the ever-living form. So that's really cool looking. Now let's look at our Mumm-Ra next to some of the good guys over in our outside set. And here we are on Third Earth. And you can see how good Panthro and Lion-O match up beside Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living. You can see just how much taller he is than these other characters. Really good. Looking good. And here he is next to Mumm-Ra and Groon. And I have to say that this Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living has a really good ability to stand. With this outdoor set, I have to just about use black stands to help these guys with their peg holes at the bottom of their feet just about every time, especially to get them in any dynamic poses. But Mumm-Ra can stand really well. He's got a good firm foundation under there, don't he? There you have it. And speaking of Mumm-Ra, there he is with that large head that Mumm-Ra came with to make him look like he did in that episode where Mumm-Ra reveals himself as Mumm-Ra but still has the Mumm-Ra head. So that's really cool. That came with the Mumm-Ra action figure. And so you see him next to Mumm-Ra and Tigra as well. Cool. And some other characters that I like to include in my Thundercats world and Motu world. There is Storm Collectibles Motaro from Mortal Kombat, as well as a Build-A-Figure, and that is King Shark from the DC line. But I love this character. I mean, he's almost, with the helmet, I would say Mumm-Ra is about the same height as King Shark, but our Motaro is definitely taller. But check them out next to each other. That looks cool. Awesome. And there's Mumm-Ra next to a Motu Classics Demo Man, as well as our new Eternia Skeletor. And you can definitely tell that Mumm-Ra towers over these characters. And there's Mumm-Ra next to a Storm Collectibles Skeleton from Golden Axe series. And then there is SH Figure Arts Incredible Hulk. And Hulk says, "Mummy stink. Mumm-Ra stink." And he's about the same height, almost. I think Mumm-Ra's got him a little bit by the helmet, as far as height. I'd like to mix up your Thundercats Mumm-Ra with some of your Marvel Legends. There's Sabretooth. It's on the larger side of the Marvel Legends. And then there is Thor from Love and Thunder, which is got the Ravager head on it, but you can tell what we're going for there. He's more average size. So I think it would work. And there you have him, our Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living on Third Earth. And he is looking amazing. Thank you so much for joining us today for this special review of Mumm-Ra the Ever-Living. Please like, subscribe if you haven't, comment if you've enjoyed this video, and please come back next time for another Super Dave review. Enjoy these photos in the photo gallery.
By the way, the relic that comes with Mumm-Ra is actually the mighty gyroscope. It is attached to an actual machine in the middle of New Thundera, and it is what controls the gravity. If this piece is removed from the mighty gyroscope machine, from the middle of the core of Thundera, New Thundera, it could cause everything on the planet to fly into space.